Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and I was always told I had a voice of radio, so today I am rather happy. And the reason that I'm rather happy is that I can now bring you confirmation of the pre-release promos that are going to be part of the pre-releases for the upcoming Ultra Prism set. Now, we do this every single time a set is revealed. I believe this means we will have done all of the Sun and Moon sets, which means we will have done 5 in a row. We're going to look at them, we're going to rank them, and we are going to see which of them you actually want to be getting and which of them you need to be a little bit sad if you end up with. Now you can see all 4 of them on the screen here. We have ROTOM, we have Lucario, we have Heatran, and we have Gumshoos. And I believe I have got a clear 1 to 4 rank order about them. Now, of course, I've done videos about all of these cards. I'll pop links to them in the description for you to go and have a gander if you want some more detail. But right now, we're going to go through the basics, and of course, we're going to rank them, because who doesn't want a nice, good ranking? I do. ROTOM is the worst of them, and I think more so than other sets. These really do rank out as a 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, ROTOM has got the same ability as all of the ROTOM, in that it attacks for free if you have got 9 tools in the discard pile. Now, I'm kind of a fan of the ROTOMs as a whole. You see, we've got Gourgeist, and Gourgeist is really nice because it's got a good early game attack, which allows you to just discard all your tools attached to your Pokemon and do 10 damage plus 40 more for each tool discarded. You use Gourgeist in the early game, and then the ROTOMs come in the late game. Sounds pretty good. But the thing is, this might be the worst of all the ROTOM, because the attack does 50 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Now, nominally that's for a water and a double colorless, but that's not terribly important, because you're generally using this as a free attacker with 9 tools in the discard. Well, I mean, sniping for 50 damage is fine. It's not great, it's not terrible, it's fine. But it's not particularly good. If we look at something like the regular ROTOM, the lightning type ROTOM, then we find a Pokemon with a lot of potential, because that Pokemon hits for 120. That's a fair amount of damage, which is quite nice. We can look at the grass ROTOM here, ROTOM, and that does 60 damage and discards a special energy. The ROTOMs as a whole are fine, but I think ROTOM is possibly the worst of them. That's why it comes in at number 4. In at number 3, we've got the new Gumshoos, and I quite like the new Gumshoos. It does for a double colorless energy, which is quite nice, single energy attachment, 20 damage, and then your opponent reveals their hand, and if they've got a Pokemon there, you do an extra 80 damage. Well, doing 100 for a double colorless in and of itself is pretty good. Then, of course, you get this weird situation where your opponent's sitting there going, I don't really want to play this Pokemon, but if I don't play it, my opponent can do 100 without using much resources, so I suppose I have to. And that's where you kind of go with this. Your opponent ends up playing Pokemon that they don't really want to play. It's not a great card, but I do really like Gumshoos GX, so if you're playing Gumshoos GX anyway, this is a nice tech to chuck in along with it. It's not a great card, and I don't think it'll see a huge amount of play, but I do like the fact that it has a little bit of synergy with Gumshoos GX. It's a single card tech if you're using Gumshoos GX, and the thing is, I could imagine people playing this as a one-off if they're already playing Gumshoos GX. But I don't know if people are going to be playing ROTOM, even in a Gourgeist ROTOM deck. So I think that alone means we've got to put Gumshoos in at number 3. Now, they are the not great Pokemon. Coming in at number 2 is the first of what I consider to be the good Pokemon in terms of these pre-release promos. It's Heatran. And I like Heatran. I'm quite a fan of Heatran. Ha! That rhymes. Heatran is just a good non-GX metal attacker. We've got a whole bunch of ways to accelerate metal energy coming up, including the new Magnezone, which allows you to attach as many metal energy as you like during your turn. And we are getting the new Solgaleo, which does 120 for a double colourless and attaches 2 basic energy from your discard to one of your bench Pokémon. Plus, it's a basic Pokémon, so you've always got access to Max Elixir if you should so choose. And the thing is, if we look at these metal attackers we're going to be using in the near future, we're looking at things like Solgaleo GX. We're looking at Duskmane Necrozma GX, maybe even going back to Celesteela. All of which are big, giant 2-prize attackers. Now, they're all good and they've all got utility. But they're 2-prize attackers. Sometimes you just want to do a fair amount of damage with a basic single prize attacker. And that's where Heatran comes in. I think Heatran is a really good single prize basic attacker, and I think metal decks will like it very much indeed. Metal and a colourless energy, 30 damage, reduced damage done next turn by 30. 2 metal and a colourless, 130, discard 2 energy. So you can do a fair amount of damage with the second attack, or you can use the first attack, and I mean, I like this because I liked the old Jumpluff. Jumpluff had this, except it was called Leaf Guard, and it was one of those cool things where if you could take an attack with it, then you had essentially 30 more HP the following turn, which is kind of cool, and I like it a lot. Heatran's not some game-breaking card that people are going to be falling over themselves to get, but as a one-of in a Magnezone deck or a Solgaleo deck, yeah, I'm quite a big fan of it indeed. And then we get to the best one, which you've probably guessed by now because there's only 4 of them. Process of Elimination says that it is Lucario. But I love Lucario. I really like Heatran. I think it's a good attacker. I think Gumshoos could be a fun one-of tech. But I love Lucario. Now, Lucario basically is there for Garchomp decks. And to be perfectly honest, if you're not playing a Garchomp deck, you're probably not playing Lucario. But if you are playing a Garchomp deck, then Lucario becomes absolutely inarguably phenomenal. It's got a redonkulous ability that allows you to search for any card from your deck and put it in your hand, just so long as you have a Garchomp in play. Now, it must be a Garchomp, not a Garchomp EX, or if it's ever released a Garchomp GX, it's got to be an actual full-on Stage 2 Garchomp. But the thing is, if you're playing Garchomp, this ability is phenomenal. And Garchomp itself from Ultra Prism is really good. Now, of course, I would love it if Garchomp were also a pre-release promo. Trying to collect some Garchomps and Lucarios as pre-release promos would be awesome, but we can't have everything. I got Registeel as a Crimson Invasion pre-release promo, so I don't have much cause to argue here. But if we go and have a quick look at Garchomp, fighting, double colourless energy, 200 damage, as long as you've played Cynthia from your hand this turn. Well, Cynthia is just Professor Oak's new theory with a new name, and when the rotation hits, it is going to be the best draw supporter or shuffle supporter that we've got. So it's going to see a lot of play. I think by now you see where I'm going with this. If Garchomp with Cynthia is a good deck, and I think it will be, Lucario's going to be amazing. Otherwise, it's not a great attacker and the ability is completely pointless. But because Garchomp's got a little bit of potential, and because Lucario's ability is flat out phenomenal when you're playing Garchomp, I think that makes it the best pre-release promo. It's no Oranguru, which is still probably the best of all the pre-release promos we've ever had, because that's kind of a one-off tech in a whole bunch of decks. But Lucario is pretty gosh darn good. Either way, if we look at these promos again, it's fairly obvious. Lucario and Heatran good. Wash Rotom and Gumshoos not particularly good. Of course, it's potentially a completely moot point, given that you get sealed boxes and you have no idea what the promos are because they're entirely secret, but still, cross your fingers that you get a Lucario. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I would love to hear from you. Get your thoughts down in the comment section. Tell me if you would rank them differently and tell me why. Tell me which of these pre-release promos you want to get when you go along to your pre-releases, because pre-releases are awesome. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv patreon.com/PTCGRadio. Please check out Wassy Plays, that is my video game channel. I've relaunched it recently, we've got a couple of videos up there. Please go and subscribe, because if I can get another channel going alright, life will be wonderful. And if you do want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, etc., you can do so by going to patreon.com/PTCGRadio. But by far, the most important thing as always is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.